back to episode 38 of Closer Mentality. I'm your host, Julia Mellett. I'm by myself this week and I wanted to try something slightly different with this podcast episode. Through 37 episodes with a wide variety of guests, Closer Mentality has been able to relate to hundreds of individuals, and I've been so blessed that the 39 guests I've had have trusted me with some of the most vulnerable moments of their lives. It's something that I don't take lightly, and a task which I want to continue for the foreseeable future. With that said, this episode I'm flying solo, and aptly want to focus on the individual athlete. While not all of my guests have hailed from team sports, the majority have. The dynamic of a cohesive team has always fascinated me, but the sociological impact of being a small part of the larger team atmosphere is a piece that I think warrants a deeper dive. Who are you without your team? When you're with 20 to 60 other people on a daily basis, all fighting and working toward a collective greater good, sometimes athletes lose sight of their role within the team structure, and thus individual performance slips. The classic psychology term for this is social loafing. Social loafing occurs when, within the confines of a team, individual performance takes a hit, because the perception is that individual success doesn't matter when transposed in a team setting. Say you're second or third string. You're well aware of your stagnant role in the depth chart, so it's natural to take it easier at times. Drops in group coordination and individual motivation can cause the parts of the whole to ease back on their responsibilities, whether that's in practice drills, lifting, or sideline motivation styles on game day. It's not simple enough to say that only QB1 or a striker leads the team, though. Take the complexities of a Broadway cast, for example. Just a little insight for those unfamiliar with the performing arts. A cast includes not only the principal actors or the main characters. Behind the scenes, there are hundreds of musicians, stage managers, engineers, and likely the least rewarded members of a cast, the swings. Think of a musical theater swing as the second string of the cast. They're hired in the event that something dire happens to the original cast that precludes them from performing. These swings sit through hair, makeup, and all rehearsals, memorizing every line of the show, all the choreography, and scene blocking for not only one, but normally at least half a dozen different characters. They have to be on their A game at all times, in the event that one of the principals can no longer perform, and it may happen during the show. These actors and actresses are thrown into the show at a moment's notice at times, and have to be prepared for anything. The show must go on, after all. They may not see the stage for months on end, but they have to be ready every single performance, 8 times a week. Now, imagine how that translates to a team sport. There's no room for social loafing when you have to not only be the quarterback, but also the safety, the guard, tight end, nose tackle, and the linebacker. Not only the keeper, but also the center mid and the striker. Knowing your specific role like the back of your hand works, but roles change. Athletes get injured. Suddenly, what you perceived as a solidified third-string roster spot turns into a starting position. Will you be ready when coach calls? Has your work behind the scenes when you thought no one cared been enough? So how do you improve your position on a team? A 2016 study published in Research Quarterly for Exercise and Sport found that in situations when mental toughness becomes the difference between two actively social loafing groups, it's the mentally tough group that was able to push through the inherent want to back off responsibilities. They were tested once with individual performance monitored, and once when their cycling distance was part of the whole, in order to differentiate the allotted effort. The researchers concluded that those keenly aware of the importance of their individual role in the larger scheme were significantly less likely to perform poorly when added to the group numbers. Even if they didn't see their role changing the needle, every rotation of the pedals brought them one step closer to making a huge difference for the whole. They easily identified their role and excelled, even if they weren't the ones directly receiving the accolades. They changed what they perceived they were capable of in order to help the larger goal. They recognized where their strengths lay, and played to them in a personalized way. Coaches will prioritize players that they see grasping the concepts and asserting themselves in leadership positions. Whether it's within a position group or as a team captain, the daily tasks separate those who need to succeed and those who hope to succeed. Hoping isn't enough. None of us are passive bystanders in our own lives, and we shouldn't be in activities that we feel passionate about either. Knowing your role and the roles of the players around you proves that you're not only paying attention when it matters, but are willing and capable of implementing your skills in a variety of ways. Collegiate coaching staffs love touting extensive depth, but other than key players like pitchers, goalkeepers, and quarterbacks, where success is specific to their skill, generally everyone else can be shifted and cross-trained. A defensive backfield can be moved. On the pitch, a starting lineup can be maneuvered. A team is built based on strengths, and the more you can prove you have, the more you'll see your stock rise in the eyes of your coaching staff. When you become knowledgeable of the game plan and build your skills into versatility, you make yourself indispensable. If you aren't seeing playing time in a position that you thought you would excel in, it might yield better results to approach your coaching staff and ask where you might be better served to help the team. For most coaches, the lack of a solidified position isn't seen as weakness. In fact, being eager to help the team in any way actually stands to make you more of a team asset. In the age of COVID-19, collegiate athletic departments were hit hard with day-to-day roster changes. College football teams were forced to cross-train their players in multiple positions in the event that a key cog in the wheel tested positive and was forced to quarantine. Those are the types of unpredictabilities that, when you're prepared for, can change your life. Suddenly, the second string is in the limelight, suiting up and waiting for kickoff. It happens that fast, and if you aren't prepared, if you spend time not giving it your all, when you do get your chance, you won't be ready. In sports, very little is truly set in stone. Positions and lineups change. Players quit or transfer. Even a preseason depth chart can change dramatically with one fluke injury. But isn't the unpredictability of sport what continues to bring us back? A game can be changed in the final seconds. A game can be won on the last play. It's what you do to prepare yourself to hold down the fort during those moments that proves whether you're willing to do what it takes to succeed. It doesn't even have to be perfect either. It just has to be authentic. When you're putting forth your all for not only the team's best interests, but also proving to yourself that you belong, it becomes far easier to sustain. Some of the best professional athletes of our generation got their shots because the teammate ahead of them got injured. Go, lead the team, but you best be ready. Success in athletics is all about controlling the controllables and letting everything else fall into place. You don't have to feel like you need to be a carbon copy of the player you replaced either. Now that you have your shot, prove why you, and only you, deserve to stay. Even the most well-loved Broadway hits get altered depending on what that specific principal's own strengths are. In that way, the position is played the same, yet each actor or actress puts their own unique twist on the role. Not every Mary Poppins, Angelica Schuyler, and Phantom of the Opera is played the same, and no two running backs or goalkeepers play the position they love exactly alike. There may be 4 rostered liberos, but there's only one you. Take the position and prepare every day as though you fully expect your name to be called in the starting lineup. Like every day you're up for a promotion. When that time does come, and it eventually will, take the opportunity and make it your own unique chance to stand in the spotlight. When you prepare for that moment to stand out and stand alone, you'll never fail. That's the end of episode 38 of Closer Mentality. As always, I'm your host, Julia Mellett. Thanks for tuning into this unconventional episode. I hope I gave you something to think about. In the show notes, I've attached a link to a quick survey. If you made it this far in the episode, I'd love to hear from you. Without listeners like you, I can't continue to put out amazing content. Do you like the content I've been producing? Do you want something to change? Head to the show notes and help me gain some insight on how to keep you coming back and listening to the stories I love sharing. Next week, I'll be back with former MLS goalkeeper Jesse Bradley to talk about how his international soccer career almost cost him his life. I'm so excited to share his story with you. But until that time, see you next week.